my name is Lehlogonolo Malapile. I'm a HSSE advisor, currently working for Scatec, an independent power producer in the solar or renewable industry. Hopefully, you will enjoy and sort of join the conversation as well. Thanks.
I just want us to go just as a follow-up, because I'm now looking at your profile, the awards. If you can just explain the awards.
So, how it works in Transnet is that the business units are actually led by general managers, right? So the construction division is led by a general manager, and then there's a rail division which deals with logistics, moving around of minerals around the country. So they would hold awards at the end of each year to recognize the people who actually done their best to ensure that the company achieve its objectives, and from management all the way down to just a normal person doing their job to contribute into the strategy of the company. So from a construction perspective, the one which says admin, that is just running the systems. From that perspective of safety, implementing of the systems, where I got the recognition. So the other one was for safety in general, the implementation and ensuring that you achieve your safety objectives. So those were the main recognitions in terms of my contributions to Transnet and performance wise as well. And with Tiger Brands, I know our contribution, I think, was actually published by our then director on LinkedIn as the HSE heroes of the company, especially for COVID, how we dealt with COVID as a team in Tiger Brands, which was quite a real honor being in the front lines and put in the work, and obviously saving a lot of costs, even though you're spending so much on putting systems which at large manage to contain. In our plant, we have never actually stopped working because of the systems that we've put in place there. Yeah, it was just a crazy dream, but we managed to achieve somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy times. That's when we were really tested. And that's when I think also again the recognition came in as to realize with how important our job is. Because at times it's taken very lightly. As I was mentioning earlier, it tends to be something in the background, a second thought. We were really tested
Yeah.
during COVID. And I feel for those who start their journey in EHS during those times because, hey, man, it was tough.
Yeah, no,
It
it
was tough.
was.
So, next question. How do you get buy-in from management and the workforce to comply and support the EHS agenda? So, what is your process in terms of getting them on board?
All right. So I think there you need to be straightforward when it comes to getting management buy-in, right? So whenever you're talking health and safety as well environment, how you go about that one is to be frank and just try and do as much simulations as you can, like through your risk assessments, right? You can never change management's mind until you tell them about the risk. Once they can perceive the risk, then they will listen to you. So, one, management doesn't like regulatory risks coming their way because it means fines are likely to come because of non-compliance to legislation. Two, would never want to see someone dying because of activities linked to the work of the workforce. So I think from those perspectives, obviously there are other elements which can bring management to understand. And sometimes it's just a matter of awareness. So where you're not getting buy-in, you just need to sample industry specific events just to show them what can happen with that is non-compliant. And then from workforce perspective, remember, if you don't take people along the journey, don't go there and start commanding people that you do not know their understanding of your subject. You are the subject matter expert, right? So you need to work with the people. One thing that always worked for me, I suppose, ensuring that you run as much awareness campaigns as possible. And there's no better environment like your town halls, where you share information, where they can quiz you about what's uncomfortable for them. If they are not able to benefit from what you are selling, they won't buy it, because then you'll always get, oh, you know what? No one ever died in this place in the last 40 years. But then when you check, there's few people that have perhaps lost hands, perhaps lost fingers. You need to look at those scenarios and tell them about that thing, which I suppose was always like the chief of many things in my journey, is to ask them. So you're saying without safety, are you going to be able to go back to your family as full as you are? When was the last time we actually observed one of our employees or our fellow colleague actually being caught by a machine, or being shocked by electricity, or cut or struck by something? And how did that make us feel? Because now, when you don't go into what has transpired in the past for that site or that workplace, you don't get to actually recalibrate people's mindset until they are empathetic to situations of their fellow colleagues. So it's very much important that whenever you get into these spaces where people are involved, that you need to bring them along. They have solutions. You can just use your skill as a negotiator, as a guidance coach, to literally bring their perspective, and it works all the time. It has worked for me, like during my time in manufacturing, because they have people who are competing for ideas. All you have to do is listen to all of them. And when you promise that you're going to do something, you better do it, or you lose that hope that they have in you. So when you say, we do something this way, you do it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I completely agree. So one thing, like you rightly mentioned, if you can get the workforce involved from the get-go, change management, let's involve the guys at the planning stage so that they can then also give their input and accept it. It also allows them to accept the coming change, and they can then also advise whatever the change might be. They can then actually guide you to say, but no, we don't think this is going to work. Because I've seen a few SOPs where the SOP is sitting there, it's on the machine, but the guys are doing something completely different to it. And they walk past that SOP on a daily basis. And then when you ask, it's like, but this doesn't make sense. The SOP doesn't make sense because I've seen a lot of changes made where the employees' inputs are not taken. And then those changes fail. It's not because the employees are sabotaging, but it doesn't make sense to them. Probably something that was written by someone sitting in the office or went and saw that particular piece of machine a few times and then decided to draft
Very
the
true.
SOP. So it's definitely very important to involve the guy at the onset. So tell us, what is the most important lesson you've learned over your career that you'd like to share for those who are either starting in the field or those looking to transition into the EHS field? So the greatest lesson that you've learned to date.
Yeah, I think obviously for those who are transitioning, what we see is that they just want to jump in. Let's say an engineer wants to come in. Yes, you know what is expected as an engineering professional. Yes, you've worked with safety managers in your roles, but don't short circuit the journey. You need to appreciate the journey enough to start. Obviously, an engineer will never start from there as a junior safety officer, but they will start somewhere in the middle. But you need to appreciate the journey. So get the right training so that you understand other aspects which you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to as an engineer from safety perspective, you know? So for newcomers or people who are transitioning, they need to just appreciate the journey. Start somewhere, but it all begins with gathering knowledge. Without the right background, you're going to struggle. You have people who are currently safety managers, but then they've never worked as operational safety officers. People can do risk assessment, but they are managers. It is what it is, but then how do you lead without having the right skills in place? So for the newcomers, it takes time. It does take time. And then there are those of us who are lucky when someone sees the potential. You are a grade for 1 year, and then thereafter they take you under their wing in their organization, and then you speed up the process. But for those of us who started from the beginning with the same track, it's a different story. You need to prove your worth. And sometimes you need to reach out to every professional on LinkedIn if you've joined LinkedIn. If not, whoever that you've heard of in your community that is a safety professional, you need to go to that person and ask them pertinent questions that will help you to improve your own journey. Because without the operational experience, sometimes it's a bit awkward to just jump into any role, because you'll find companies, they say, we need a junior safety officer, but they don't have a safety manager. So the junior safety officer gets in there, they get burnt out immediately, like 2-3 months, the person does not perform to the right standard because they don't have the right level of mentorship for them to be able to execute. And then sometimes you find companies, they say they're looking for a junior safety officer, but you get there, you're doing a safety manager's role, which is an unfair transaction. Although the company is benefiting, but they are not allowing you to be able to function at the right level. It's a short circuit to your journey as well as a safety professional, because then now chances are you're going to fail when you fall into that trap. And then you end up saying, you know what, I'm not made for this. So safety is not my thing. But then because you fell into that trap of accepting a scope bigger than what you can practice, right? We have SACCMP, a professional body. You can reach out to those guys so that they can actually suggest few people that can train you under them. We have SIOSH in South Africa. I think for me, I enjoy SIOSH of things more because there's so much engagement compared to SACCMP, because SACCMP, yes, they do try now to have more engagement conferences, but SIOSH can call a training session like tomorrow to take you through a new law, to take you through some of the products or companies that are offering assistance in terms of bettering your systems in your workplace, sharing information on new technology when it comes to safety, stuff like that. You have to just find your space, and that space will definitely expose you to the right level of experiences, uh, you know. And I think one thing that we tend to do as safety professionals is that we are lacking out there. Our juniors needs us, and we need to make ourselves available. When someone reach out on LinkedIn, give them the right level of attention. And if you are unable to, at least suggest that they contact someone else so that they can be able to learn.
That's why I love the LinkedIn platform so much. Put yourself out there. Even posting, especially for those, like, for example, graduates, just post, get yourself out there, network, because you never know who your next employer is going to be. One of your LinkedIn connections might reach out saying, I've seen you just graduated, we're looking for someone for a junior role. And then you grab the opportunity. So definitely network on LinkedIn. Don't be passive. Reach out. Don't be afraid to ask. You see someone posting, reach out, ask, how did you get to where you are?
Well, that's very, very true. I suppose as well, when you're on a course, don't keep quiet. Speak to the people and then ask for their emails, ask for their cell phones. If that's fine for you to reach out to them as well. Yeah.
Well, your uncle is in the safety profession also, but what does your family think you do? Or how would they explain what you do? Because for me, my mother's a teacher. So she'd always be like, when people ask, yeah, what does your son do? So he's a security officer in Joburg because she's in PE. I'm like, no, man, I'm not a security
Yeah.
officer.
Um, so I think this question actually came up with my daughter the other day. She's like, so, Dad, what do you do? And then I'm like, what do you think I do? She's like, no, you travel so much. I don't know. Because I told them last time, I was like, I'm a safety officer. This was like 4 years ago. And they're like, yeah, you told us you're a safety officer, but what do you do? So then I think my answer was last week, I'm a doctor, uh, doctor of engineering. I make sure people don't get to the hospital. So beside that, my wife thinks I'm a very bad safety officer at home because I open all the drawers and keep them open. Uh, I leave my socks everywhere. It's like you're a tripping hazard, you know? So I'm like, no, man, as for me, when I'm at home, I need to relax, and housekeeping is not my thing at home, but it's something I preach at work. So she always reminds me of that. So I don't know how you get people to follow your rules at work, but you can't follow my rules here at home. So yeah, but from her, I think she understands what I do. I think she has taken it to another level. I'm a risk professional above anything else. I think that's the umbrella for my mom. I think because now she's a safety specialist herself, clearly understands definitely what I do. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, my granny still asks me what I do almost every time I see her. Because I now live in Cape Town, she thinks I'm just traveling around. Yeah, so but beside that, my family, most of them, they are seasoned professionals, so it's not a problematic understanding of what my input is in society. Because my uncle definitely has been doing that work for some time.
So, in your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to be successful within the health and safety EHS space?
Um, to come to think of it, one personality trait that you need to have, you should be someone who embraces change because you bring a lot of it, right? So you are a change maker, but also for as much as you are a change maker, you need to be very innovative. So I would say those two goes hand in hand. Being a change maker requires you to be highly innovative strategically because there's going to be a lot of questions that really questions whether you should be there or you should exist as a professional or not, if other people can do your work or not, right? So no one who is not a safety professional can do what safety people do because we literally write up maybe 60% of policies in terms of health and safety. And sometimes those, depending on how valuable the company sees your contribution, those policies could become company-wide policies. From that particular perspective, also, you must have high level strategic interaction. I suppose your leadership skills needs to be very intact.
So, the last question I have for you is what is the one piece of advice you give to someone starting out and which you had wished you had when you started this journey?
um, I think I had it. So one of the biggest skills that you're gonna need as a HSE professional is administrative skills. If your admin is not on par, and admin, I'm talking about your document development, your computer skills, because majority percent of your work is actually done on the computer, and then only 5% is training and implementation. Trust me. You will spend 2 weeks writing a sheet plan, and then only train 50% of what you've written in a toolbox talk or in a DSTI meeting or even during the induction, which is like literally 30 minutes. You've spent like hours writing and pouring your skills on a paper, but only 30 minutes to give it to the people so that they can digest what is required from them in relation to that one. So if you do not have administrative skills, unfortunately, you're going to fail because no one can do your job. Majority of the work is done through document development. The rest is just giving it to the people, and you might not even be the one who delivers that sheet plan or that risk assessment to the workforce that will be implementing it. So it's as simple as that. Other things, they just add on. Trust me, they just add on. And if you're able to do that, I think you're okay. Yeah. And leadership, yes, to lead a group of people and getting them to agree in following the stuff that you're advising on, or that you believe can keep them safe, then that is another one. And leadership encompasses other elements which relates to management. So if you can do that, lead and be able to write what you think on the paper. That
Yeah. Because those admin skills, if they are poor, it will show up during an audit where they are looking for evidence that you had done something and you can't find the
yeah,
documents. So it's a very crucial role. I remember having started in construction, compiling my first safety file. That I
if you've never
stressed.
done it,
I stressed.
it's gonna be a mammoth task. It's, so it's best that you learn those ones on the onset. Um, you know, a safety file is literally just documenting a system of work, and it's the same in manufacturing when you do your ISO 45000s, ISO 14000 and 9000. So it's just following a way in which you're gonna drive your safety to the people.
That's a crucial skill because our plant, we ISO 14000 certified. And I remember when I just moved from the Western Cape, coming back to Joburg. I think within my first, I was there a month, and we had the ISO 14000 audit, and this was my very first one. Ooh, it was a lot. I've been through a lot of audits, but that one was intense. So yeah, definitely I agree with you. Administratively, you can't be lacking in that
No,
department because it will show. It will
yeah,
show. And then of course, yeah, leadership skills also, because I've seen also on LinkedIn, a lot of people in the EHS space are now also doing management qualifications, postgraduate diplomas in business administration or business management. Some are doing MBAs. Yeah, which definitely is a skill we need. I think the higher you go up in an organization, the more leadership skills you'll have. Because technically, as an EHS person, we know our work, but I think getting those management
yeah.
skills where
And
you
I
can,
think
because I think in EHS you should be comfortable dealing with the guys on the shop floor and dealing with directors, senior directors. So definitely an important skill because we communicate a lot.
so. We
For those
we
in those
we
in the
are
EHS field.
essentially salespeople. Remember, you're selling something, which is very important, saving a life. So if you can sell that to both parties, management and the workforce at large, it's then essentially you're failing at what you need to do. And if people believe in the product and the benefits thereof, then it's not going to be something to negotiate about. They're going to buy it outright. So yeah, that's how I've managed to sort of contour my life as an HSE professional, and hopefully it can add value to those amongst us who are up and coming. And maybe it's a conversation to continue having with the rest of us, those who are in the field as well, just to keep the profession as intact and energized as possible.
Yeah, definitely to your point on selling safety. There was a video I shared 3 weeks or 2 weeks back. Kevin Burns is a safety professional based in the States, where he says, as a safety professional, we've got two sales. First, you're selling yourself, and then you are selling safety. If you miss the first sale, which is selling yourself, the message won't land because people need to buy into you and then buy into safety. So again, that's why it's important as an EHS professional, trust. If you lose trust, you're gone. If your people don't trust you,
Very,
you're gone.
very. I think those two are the most important parts. So you fail to do that, then you lose the game.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Not as such, but maybe just to say thank you for reaching out. I'm honored that you've reached out to talk to me and I can share a little bit of my journey. And hopefully, this can be a motivation for other guys who are still coming up, ladies and gentlemen that are wishing to get into safety. And not safety alone, like I said, it's health, safety, and environment. None trumps the other, equally implemented. So, in that breath, it is an honor. And I want to thank my wife for allowing me as well to take this a few hours out of my schedule and speaking to you guys.
I'm happy because your passion for what you do came through. How you came into being in EHS and the success you've had. It will definitely motivate those that are starting in the field, even those who have been in the field for many years. Because a lot of people struggle. They struggle, especially the question that I asked, speaking about getting management and employee buy-in. I think that's one of the biggest struggles that people in our field have. And because it's either they don't have buy-in from management or they don't have buy-in from the employees, which causes a lot of stress. I mean, to wake up on a daily basis, go to work, you try to manage the system and bring about a good EHS culture and there's no buy-in. It's demoralizing. Thanks again for taking the time. And thank you to the missus also.